Good morning or good afternoon. For some of you, we are live. I am here with Myoshia Boykin-Anderson, and we're excited to have a great conversation today. As long as Myoshia's internet keeps up. It's a little choppy. She's at the lake house. Today's going to be a really great conversation on many levels, both on the top line of business growth, but also talking about like what it really takes to have the faith to make the decisions. You may not see the end result yet, but you know it's there. And that's why, Myoshia, I'm so excited to have you here on We Lead Live. So we're meeting here every Monday and Thursday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. And I'm pulling in some of the most brilliant women I know who are really leading through this time and making some tough decisions if needed. Myoshia, can you hear me okay?
I can, yes.
Okay. You're a little choppy, but we're going to try it, everybody. Hang in there. All right. Myoshia, can you start off telling everyone a bit about your background, because it is so such an incredible story on how you got started building your company.
Okay, sure. And again, hopefully my connection will remain steady enough for everybody to hear me. But so I started my entrepreneurial journey in 1998. As a single parent, working in the tech field, but for another company, and living paycheck to paycheck. Kind of the what society would say is the story. Came into work one day, and I was told that they were closing the office. So my immediate thought was, okay, when companies close offices, it takes them a while to close. So I was trying to prepare my mind around what was to come. But then my manager said, we're closing it today. So needless to say, my heart was broken. I was filled with anxiety. I actually had to excuse myself from the conversation and go in the ladies' room and just bawl my tears out. Gained my composure and came back. And in that moment, I realized that no one would ever be able to put me in that position again. So that's when the bug, if you will, was born, right? So I had to make some immediate decisions about caring for this 5-year-old child that I had. And but I did. I actually decided that day, after she asked me to help her clean the office. I helped her, of course, but I determined that, what, not only am I out of a job, but the clients that I was serving there, the customers that I was serving there, were also out of a supplier. So my immediate call to action was to get another job because I had responsibilities. So I immediately got another job that I absolutely hated, but I decided that I was going to give all 63 of those people on that list a call. Wow. So I started, there were 63. So I started making phone calls, and I would make them on Fridays. I would have my week, I would take a break from work, and I would make my calls. All 63. And my script was, hey, this is Myoshia. I know that you guys are without a service provider now. Do you have any projects that you need help on? Because I knew that I had a skill set that was needed, but I didn't necessarily understand the business acumen or any of that. I've never been to college, so I didn't understand that piece of it, but I knew I had a skill set that was needed. So I started calling them. Hey, it's Myoshia. Do you have any projects? Each of them said no. All 63 said no. And one thing that I learned in that moment was that I was not going to let no be the final answer for me. So my response to them, to each of them, was, but it's okay. Do you mind if I give you a call next month? And each of them, well, almost all of them said yes. So the following, I think maybe about 5 or 6 of them said no. But so the following month, I made my 50 or so calls. Everybody said no. And again, my response was, do you mind if I call you next month? So every month, my list got shorter because some of them were like, please don't call us again. Thanks for nothing. And but some of them was gracious enough to say, okay, give me a call next month. And I continued this from February of 1998 all the way to November. So November came. It was actually Friday the 13th. But November came and I started making my phone calls to the now 16 people that were on the list. So from 63 to 16. So I'm calling them, and I think it was around the seventh or eighth one, my spiel. Hey, it's Myoshia again. It's my monthly call, with my little bubbly attitude. It's my monthly call. And I remember, and I'll never forget, her name was Naomi. Naomi said, as a matter of fact, and on those words, I started my business. I literally told my boss I was taking my lunch break. I went and paid $10 for a DBA business license. And that was the start of it all. It was the start of it all. Yes.
I want everyone to take that in for a minute, because most people make one or two calls and then feel just distraught and say that this isn't going to work. 63 calls, and you kept going. And, how did you not feel despondent?
I think, on the surface I did, but I knew there was so much riding on this. I had a daughter to take care of. I knew that I wouldn't be able to stay at that job long. My heart was not there, but I was willing to stay there because I knew I had responsibilities. Yeah. But I knew deep down that that I would not let this beat me. Like, part of it was an arrogance in some regard, that I am not going to let this beat me. It was arrogance. It was fear. It was all of that. But it taught me resilience. It literally taught me resilience.
Yeah, I'd call that pride. You're not an arrogant person. Yeah, a bit vain, but we all are. We take good care of ourselves. So fast forward to today. Give everyone a snapshot of the business you have built. What you do for large companies, small companies, and you're based in the Houston area, but you have clients all over the country.
All over the country. So we specialize in IT consulting and staffing services. And what that means is we help some of the top Fortune 500 companies with their software implementation projects. So and for the full life cycle of the project, actually. So we may come in when the stakeholders are first talking about chartering a project, or we may help them determine which software they're going to go with. We help them with the procurement process. We help them with capturing the requirements and then getting the system designed and configured and implemented. And after go live, we provide support. So anywhere in that life cycle of that project, our services are needed to help them fulfill the needs that they have.
Mm-hmm. And that's for the large companies and small companies.
Exactly. So we help these larger Fortune 500 companies, but we also have a client base where we help entrepreneurs, increase their productivity and efficiency, even in their space, helping them determine what tools to use, even helping them scale when they get to the point where these off-the-shelf products are not helping them. We actually develop custom tools and applications for them as well.
Yeah, I know you're currently developing some tools for some of my other clients as far as their client management systems, coaching company systems. It's been great to watch. Now, right before the COVID thing hit, I saw you in Miami. We're like, 2020 is going to be our best year ever. We're all there for the trust. It was a fantastic meeting. It was powerful. And then still there was a little chatter, like, what do you all think of this COVID thing and what's going to happen? And, you had made some big decisions right before that, like monumental decisions that are related to your financial business, in investing in yourself. Were there any moments when this all hit that you were regretting anything or scared? Or let's talk about, how the last, 2 months have been for you.
So I determined a long time ago that I wasn't going to let fear be a driver for me in my business. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not always cognizant of, what's going on in the world and, all of that. But I just believe that even in times like this, fear is the last thing that we need to hold on to, right? That this is the time where we literally double down. If anything, I was already, even in Miami, and this was at the very forefront of all of the visibility around what is now known as the pandemic. But even in those early stages, I determined in my mind that this was the time to double down. And even from a pivoting perspective, I pivoted a little, but I truly believe that if you set out there and you are deliberate and intentional about truly growing and scaling your business, then when stuff like this hits, yeah, it kind of, knocks you a little bit, but it does not completely knock you down, especially to the point where you can't get back up. But so it was just a time for me to really start my wheels turning. And I was already on that trajectory because of the amazing experience I had in November, right? So that started a whole new mindset in me. And that was the catalyst for ensuring that even during this time, this was going to be a time of growth and not a time of despair.
Yeah. Can you, people may not know what November is. Would you mind sharing what that means?
Yeah. So in November, so I'll tell you a little story that led up to November. So I am, going along in my business. We've already reached the multi-million-dollar, mark in annual revenue. And a colleague of mine said that, you know what, you're growing and you're growing big. You need Allie Brown. And, my response to that was, oh, well, what's that? Where do I get it? She was like, no. And it was so, theatrical. She said, no, it's not a what, it's a who. And so that's when I first learned of you. And at that moment, Iconic was coming up. It was almost time for Iconic, and I think you only had maybe a couple of spots left, but I was determined to get in there. And I registered and I filled out my questions and all of that. And I knew, even though it was, for those that don't know, the Iconic, you actually have to be approved and, invited to attend, because you are so selective in who you work with, which is, I think, a great thing. So, but I knew that I was going to get in, like no matter what, I was going to get in. And Iconic for me was transformational. Being in the room with these amazing women entrepreneurs was absolutely amazing. And it allowed me to elevate my conversation, to elevate my thinking, to elevate my mindset. It really did.
Yeah, so it was a good start. I know that, I've gotten to know you well, obviously working with you over the last several months. And I want to tell everyone too, that the key to Myoshia's success is she does implement. Like, she has incredible faith. She stays the course. I've never heard you at least waver on a decision. You'll think things through properly, but you don't waver. Once you know that it's right, you move forward, even if the planned resources you wish were there may not be there for that project or whatever the investment is. And I think this is interesting because I was getting a flashback when you were sharing your story. In the beginning, sometimes it's easier. I miss that naivete a bit, right? Because you're just like that, and you have no choice. Your back's against the wall. You're like, I have to do this. I can't work for someone else. A lot of people at these later stages right now can have a little more trouble with the big decisions because you do have more to lose. You have more risk. You have typically a larger team. You have longer term commitments and contracts, and these decisions often are much more weighted than they were in the past. And you are one of the women I work with who I think I always get off of your calls and then Brett will go, how was it? I'm like, it was a Myoshia day. It was just like, she's on fire. She's on fire. I'm like, no, I'm on fire again. It's 3 p.m. and I'm on fire. And, where does that come from though? Where does that faith and fire come from? Because it's right now with how everyone's feeling different day to day. We'll have a great day and then we'll have a day we watch too much of the news, meet rude people outside the home and everyone's acting crazy. What's the secret behind that for you?
I truly believe that it is my faith. I tell folks that, I serve a God who loved me before I ever knew him. Right? So I truly believe in God and the power that he and his blessings and his spirit has on my life. I am a true believer, and I tap into that daily. And it's interesting because, I'm continually amazed at how good God is. Even in the midst of everything that goes on, I just believe that I serve a God that does not make mistakes. And everything that is brought to us is to help us grow. I do not believe in failure. I do not believe in losing. I saw something the other day that says, I do not lose. I either win or I learn. And I'm a true believer in that. To your point, at this level, the risks are bigger, but the wins are so great.
Mm.
When you win, it's so amazing. And and I just want I my true North Star when I think about that, and my purpose and my passion and all of that, is that other entrepreneurs and people in general can feel this that I feel. But I know it is 100% because of my faith and the will and determination that God has given me to continuously grind, and go get it. I'm always trying to go get it.
Yeah.
And it's because he gives it to me every day.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I was hoping you'd go there, and I know it's something very important to you. And I think honestly, a lot of business owners are tapping back into right now. We sometimes forget in the good times how to be grateful and thankful when things are a little easier. And now that some people are making some really tough decisions about their business, about their families, about their health, tapping back in to that source they know is real, whatever they may call
Mhm.
it. But it's that higher power that it's got to keep us through right now. So much has been disrupted in our lives and just the world in general. Now I'm going to take it back to your industry for a bit. What has changed, if anything, in your industry, or have you been pretty lucky in the tech space to be set up for these types of disruptions?
So I will say that being in this space, again, allowed me to maneuver or tread these waters a little bit better,
Mm,
primarily because we were already operating in what is the new norm right now. It was already the norm for us. So the remote work and the virtual meetings and the remote support and all of that, we were already kind of playing in that space. So from that perspective, it has not had as much of an impact on us as other businesses. And I do understand now that, there are some businesses who unfortunately, may not recover from this. And that's heartbreaking. But I will say that with everything going on now, some of the changes that we're seeing now is that the power of tech is more prevalent now, and folks are realizing the power of technology and what it can do for you and your business.
mm,
So the awareness is greater, even with, the all of the streaming tools and platforms that are out there. We are seeing increased traffic and all of that. So that's the good thing for me, and the outlook that we have and the forecasting that we can do into the future is that the awareness is greater now, which means the opportunity is greater now.
thank you. And Myoshia, can you share a bit, both from the context of your whole career and recently, who you surround yourself with, who you let in your ear is incredibly important part of your success?
Yes, definitely. We have to protect our space, right? So much of success is here. outside of all of that, your success is here. So to protect that, one, I am not continuously in front of the television watching the news. I'm not going to allow, all of that to saturate my mindset. I do know, however, that it's important to stay abreast. And luckily, I'm married to a CNN lover, and so my husband can watch all of that, and
Carlton, just
he'll let me know
give me the lowdown at the end of the day after I have a
exactly.
cocktail. Yeah.
He'll let me know what I need to know.
Yeah.
So that's one thing is making sure that you don't consume too much of that, and not necessarily that it's negative or whatever, but it's noise, and that noise can distract you. So I do not look at a lot of news. From an association perspective, I am very selective in who I decide to share and engage in conversations with. So I am very intentional, if you will, about who I even speak to. I am okay now, and it wasn't always the case, but I am okay to sending phone calls to voicemail. I used to be so anxious about my phone. Like I couldn't leave it in the next room if I had to go grab a glass of water. It would continuously be at my hip. I'm okay with leaving the phone in the other room because I am selective about the phone calls that I take and the conversations that I engage in. So I'm engaging myself in conversations with forward thinkers, with positive thinkers, with objective thinkers. And I do not necessarily like yes people, but I don't need negative nanny either. And I choose not to engage.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one thing I will give credit to. It's been fantastic working with the clients I'm working with now, and also the women we have in the trust. The conversations are very positive. I'm not saying there's not some hard moments. We've had some members affected very strongly by this, especially those with physical locations, physical type businesses, but everyone is rallying around each other, and there's a wisdom in the advice that's being given. And I think there's a big difference between that many women business owners need to become more aware of. That there's a lot of people around them maybe wanting to help, give good advice, but just get choosy. Listen, be grateful, say thank you, but get choosy on which advice you listen to. Is it advice from the women who have built the multiple 7, multiple 8, even 9-figure businesses that we're bringing in to spend that time with us? It's a big difference on the advice you may get.
It really is. The advice that we get in the trust is really based on experience, and the conversation is elevated, and it's so refreshing. It's so refreshing because quite honestly, when you start reaching the 7-figure, the multi 7 and 8 and 9-figure level, your challenges are different. Your experiences are different. Your pain points are different. And it's so refreshing to be in the community of women that you've been able to curate in the trust. That community of women is very important to who I am and what I am, now is being very intentional about being able to serve and getting served in return. And that's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Thank you. And if you're watching right now and you're curious, what is this trust thing? And maybe you've been following me for a while, or you're new to me. I've run women's entrepreneurial programs for years, both educational and masterminds on every variation of that. And then what happened at the end of last year is I finally decided to do something I've been thinking about for a long, long time. And that was to create a really tight private network of the women who were at certain levels that I know the conversation changes, and I know what they need is different, and it becomes more about the who than the what. And I'm not saying that great strategies aren't exchanged all the time and great advisory, but often it is a connection or other woman we'd like to support who is the perfect connection for that person. And you've been one of them, Myoshia. So I've referred several clients to you because I believe so strongly in what you do. And so if you're watching this right now and saying, well, what is this thing? I'd like to learn more. Here's the URL for you. It's jointhetrust.org. We are having, I just want to be clear that we do have a minimum of 7 figures to join. So fill out the form if you're at that level. If you're not, we have plenty of ways you could follow us here online on the show, my podcast, Glambition Radio. I have a LinkedIn newsletter now. I'm everywhere. Great advice. But if you'd like to be in a group with extraordinary women like the ones I've been interviewing on this show, then check it out, jointhetrust.org. Myoshia, how do you see things changing past this point for, in general, like both from your tech perspective, I would say, and then also for your own business, anything you're going to do differently, learning what you've observed over the last month or two?
Yeah, I will say that yesterday is no more. It really is no more. So what we grew to know as normal will not exist anymore. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. So that's one change that I see in what's to come, is that our literally our new normal is going to be different than what we've experienced before. In my personal business, I am spending more time focusing on the entrepreneur who needs tech and the power of tech to scale their businesses. So I am engaged in a lot of consultations now, and I'm performing assessments to see where businesses are. So that's a big passion of mine. And then developing technical products that we could take to market. So I am truly shifting my mindset and pivoting in that regard to being a developer and not just a consumer. I am thinking about ownership and building applications and tools that I can sell to the public, and being able to help other businesses do the same, because others are realizing that, your web presence and your mobile app presence is almost a prerequisite in business today and in that entrepreneurial space. So I'm focusing my attention on that, and I'm excited about how the future looks in that regard.
Where should everybody go if they'd like to learn more about your services, or just where's the best place to follow you as well?
Okay, a couple of places. So our website is AndTech LLC. So AndTech LLC.com. We are actually going through a rebranding. We're launching a new website next week, and I'm super excited about it. That's the website. Also, I just started this morning. I started a new private Facebook group, and I invite the audience to go visit me there. The name of the Facebook group is Business Empowerment Through Tech.
Perfect. Okay. Myoshia, any last words of advice for all the people watching, and especially the women out there who may be making some hard decisions in their business right now?
I'm actually going to lean in for this one, because I really want women to hear this. Know that you are enough. There's a lot of opportunity for us to get caught up in, I'm not doing it right, I don't have enough, I'm not ready for this. But just know that you are enough. Now, you are going to have to lean in. You are going to have to double down. You are going to have to do that. But just know that you are already equipped with everything you need. Now, do you need to get support? And do you need to get coaching? And do you need to get assistance? Yes, probably so. More than likely so. But just know that you are equipped with everything you need to be who you need to be for you and your family in the future.
Thank you, hon. You're amazing. Thanks for joining us today. Join us again on We Lead Live on Monday morning. Okay, so same time, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. We're going to have a fantastic former client of mine who is in the multiple 8 figures now, rocking it. And I can't wait for you to hear some of the strategies she's been implementing during this time and her advice. And we're going to keep the conversations up at least through the end of May. Then I'm hoping we could take a vacation. Are we allowed then? I don't even know what's going on, but I'm packed and ready. Like whenever they ring the bell, like we're gone. So,
I'm so ready to hear somebody say, ID and passport, please.
I'll put my liquids in the baggie. It's exciting. Let's go. Yeah, we're all just waiting. But in the meantime, everyone, use this time to stay aligned with what you really want to create, it's actually an exciting time because you're turning the page to the next chapter. And you may have more power right now than you realize. And Myoshia, thank you for being here, and bye.
Thank you. Bye.